This afternoon rather, to introduce Mr. Bertrand for a robotic presentation, a presentation on robotics. Martin has been working with the consultant with the FNEC. He's comes from teaching background. He's taught in elementary, in high school, and even in CJEPs, working with the Aboriginal schools and linguistic areas and minority mother tongues. Has several different university courses, and has a bachelor's degree in education. And he's presently working on a master's degree in educational technology, and also he works as a researcher as part of the First Nation Innovation Program. So without further delay, I pass the microphone to him for his presentation, basically his demonstration on robotics. Thank you, Mira. So, as was mentioned, my aim really today, people think that I'm more of a technician, but I'm more of a teacher. By talking more about the integration of technology in classes, not necessarily technology as such. Today, I will give you a bit of a presentation on the powers of robotics and mathematical scientific thinking. I'll start off by a little video called "Why Robotics." As a educational consultant, very humbly, I could tell you to what extent how good it can be for a child to learn how to code, and really to show that people in the industry. So I'll start with this video, and then I'll come back with my presentation.
Computer. My parents bought me a Macintosh in 1984 when I was 8 years old. I was in 6th grade.
I learned to code in college.
Freshman year, first semester, intro to computer science.
I wrote a program to play tic-tac-toe.
I think it was pretty humble beginnings. I think the first program I wrote asked things like, what's your favorite color? Or how old are you?
I first learned how to make a green circle and a red square appear on the screen.
The first time I actually had something come up and say, hello world, and I made a computer do that. It was just astonishing.
Learning how to program didn't start off as wanting to learn all of computer science or trying to master this discipline or anything like that. It just started off because I wanted to do this one simple thing. I wanted to make something that was fun for myself and my sisters. And I wrote this little program and then basically just add a little bit to it. And then when I needed to learn something new, I looked it up either in a book or on the internet and then added a little bit to it.
It's really not unlike kind of playing an instrument or something or playing a sport. It starts out being very intimidating, but you kind of get the hang of it over time.
Coding is something that can be learned, and I know it can be intimidating. A lot of things are intimidating, but what isn't?
A lot of the coding that people do is actually fairly simple. It's more about the process of breaking down problems than sort of coming up with complicated algorithms as people traditionally think about it.
You don't have to be a genius to know how to code. You need to be determined.
Addition, subtraction, that's about it.
You should probably know your multiplication tables.
You don't have to be a genius to code. Do you have to be a genius to read?
Even if you want to become a race car driver or play baseball or build a house, all of these things have been turned upside down by software.
What it is computers are everywhere. You want to work in agriculture? Do you want to work in entertainment? Do you want to work in manufacturing? It's just all over.
Here we are, 2013. We all depend on technology to communicate, to bank, information, and none of us know how to read and write code.
When I was in school, I was in this after-school group called the Whiz Kids. And when people found out, they laughed at me and, all these things. And I'm like, man, I don't care. I think it's cool. And, I'm learning a lot. And some of my friends have jobs.
Our policy is literally to hire as many talented engineers as we can find. The whole limit in the system is just that there just aren't enough people who are trained and have these skills today.
To get the very best people, we try to make the office as awesome as possible.
We have a fantastic chef,
Free food,
breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
free laundry,
Snacks, even places to play and video games and scooters. There's all these kind of interesting things around the office and places where people can play or relax or go to think or play music or be creative.
Whether you're trying to make a lot of money or whether you just want to change the world, computer programming is an incredibly empowering skill to learn.
I think if someone had told me that software is really about humanity, that it's really about helping people by using computer technology, it would have changed my outlook a lot earlier.
To be able to actually come up with an idea and then see it in your hands and then be able to press a button and have it be in millions of people's hands. I think we're the first generation in the world that's really ever had that kind of experience.
Just to think that you can start something in your college dorm room and you can have a set of people who haven't built a big company before come together and build something that 1 billion people use as part of their daily lives is just crazy to think about, right? It's humbling and it's amazing.
The programmers of tomorrow are the wizards of the future. You're going to look like you have magic powers compared to everybody else.
It's amazing. I think it's the closest thing we have to a superpower.
Great coders are today's rock stars. That's it.
Merci. Donc, je reviens sur cette citation-là de Steve Jobs que j'aime beaucoup. Tout le monde dans ce pays devrait apprendre à programmer un ordinateur parce que ça vous apprend à penser. Mais qu'est-ce qu'il voulait vraiment?
Everybody in this country should learn to program a computer because it teaches you how to think. The fact of learning how to program teaches kids how to decompose a complex program into simple units, into very small units. And it's extremely powerful also in learning creativity and problem solving, because program is nothing but that. It's nothing but problem solving. It didn't start just today with programming. I'll show you here a quote from Seymour Papert. Seymour Papert was one of the first people who started to think about programming as a school subject in elementary school. The best way to learn French is to go to France. The best way to learn math would be go to Mathland. In the distance of such a place, the closest way of learning how to learn goals. He learned to expression reader is learning how by doing it. And it's not simply by learning something and then spitting it out again because you memorized it. It's something that you learn because you worked out a problem, which was a very authentic, a very real problem. And that's really what made him, as a basis, a question of robotics. You see him here with the machine, which is what he calls a logo turtle. This is back in the 70s. The computer in those days cost a fortune, cost even more than today. In the monies of the day also. You take this little rowboat here to teach children how to teach how to code. And that's not really something used for it. It's really for something which is used very generally. There's only 1 out of 4 students that teach schools that teach students how to program. Today we have this. We have the program, the software. We have the computers in the schools. We have robots. which we can use for a fraction of the cost back in the day. So it's become much more accessible. So what we learn by robotics is an authentic learning by trial and error. First of all, you build, and then you test, and you program, and then you rebuild, and you retest your program. That's what you call trial and error. You just keep back and going over and over the same steps in order to make things better. And the interest of coding really is developing another way of thinking. It also develops a scientific-based work method. We look at something, we verify whether it works, and then we test it, and we retest it. And the scientific method works that way. It's through observation, and then verifying the results, and then starting again from scratch. It's very interactive with it. And both learning and practice, the question of learning by doing, and that's all robotics is really, or programming if you prefer. Kind of working in a team, everybody develops a role. Everybody contributes a little bit. There's the role of the programmer, there's the role of building it, there's the role of testing it. And that is the basics really of coding and robotics. It develops problem-solving learning because problem-solving is nothing but that. Basically, where does my code not work, and how can I go back over the code and really understand how I can improve it? And that develops creativity. Creativity is not just something that develops with art, but it's also develops a lot with scientific method and with coding. And obviously, it's what we're trying to getting these days is people that have boys who are those who would drop out more and have more problems at school. And it's something the boys will really become more hooked on. It's been doing things by learning by doing. It basically is something that they are more interested in, boys, and that's all what robotics is all about. We don't want to know, we want to watch, and changing the setup of things and really showing you what does reasoning in robotics or in coding look like.
Un petit cas, mon défi en tant que tel était de, sur cette ligne-là, faire en sorte que mon robot suive la ligne et reste sur la ligne. Ce que j'ai mis sur mon robot ici, que je vais appeler Steve, c'est un capteur de lumière réfléchie. Ce que j'ai fait au début, c'est que j'ai été voir sur ma ligne combien de lumière était réfléchie et en dehors de la ligne combien de lumière réfléchie. Et j'ai été chercher une valeur que je vais appeler ma valeur étalon. Donc, comment j'ai fait ça? Je suis allé chercher la moyenne entre les deux. Donc, évidemment, là, on travaille les mathématiques. Oh! Ah, il était pas là. Tu me permets? Ah, juste... C'est bon. Parfait. Donc, mon programme étant, ce que j'ai fait, c'est que je suis allé me chercher un bloc de programmation ici. Donc, pour faire avancer la roue droite, jusqu'à quand? Ben, je veux que ma roue droite soit actionnée jusqu'à ce qu'il voit en dehors de la ligne. Donc, en bas de 42, qui est ma valeur étalon, qui était la moyenne entre les deux couleurs, ici, qui était la lumière réfléchie. Et ensuite, ce qu'il va faire, c'est qu'il va il va utiliser la roue gauche pour réussir jusqu'à ce que la valeur soit plus grande ou égale à 42, qui est ma valeur étalon. Ce que ça va faire, c'est que mon robot va se promener d'un bord et de l'autre pour chercher tout le temps sa valeur et se remettre en ligne pour réussir à rester sur le bord de la ligne. Donc, où est-ce qu'est ma valeur, qui est 42 ici, qui était la moyenne entre les deux valeurs réfléchies. Donc, mais ce que je vais faire par rapport à ça, c'est de lui rajouter un truc qu'on appelle une while loop en programmation. C'est-à-dire, on pourrait appeler ça une boucle pendant. Donc, on va lui dire que va falloir qu'il refasse cette opération-là encore et encore et encore et encore. Donc, tout le temps, finalement. Oups, je reviens.
Sorry, wrong button.
So all of the programmation, I put that in my white loop to make sure that the robot will repeat the operation. I'm not going to tell it when to stop. It's going to stop on its own. So this is what it looks like. You can tell that my robot is looking for the 42 value, so it always stays on the edge of the line to adjust itself with the 42 value that I entered. Of course, to manage to do this operation is not the beginning of programming, it's advanced programming. It's a little bit more advanced, but this is something that students can do by themselves. So we want to use robotics to develop this type of reflection. Right now, the FNEC lends schools 4 robotic kits. One robotic kit can be used with an entire class in high school, and we have another robotic kit for elementary school. That's our contribution to try to bring robotics into the classroom and help the kids develop these abilities. So this is my presentation. Thank you.